sportsbook guys are going to be on New England. I know I picked the Pats. I picked them at the start of the year. But when you look at complete team in the formula, the Eagles have it. The question's going to be, how are they going to respond to it? Because, as we all know, Belichick and that staff and Tom Brady are the greatest at taking away your strengths and forcing you to do things that you don't want to do to try to beat them. They're the best at it. That's the reason they've won 5 Super Bowls together. And as we saw once again in that Jacksonville game, they're the best at making adjustments. So even though Philly has the best overall team, New England has that edge in schemes and game planning. It's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. I already have some people saying, "Oh, this is where Foles is going to blow it. It's going to be a walk-off. New England's going to walk away with it." You look at every Super Bowl that New England has played in, and they've won. Most of them has been by 3, 4, 2 points. Their biggest margin was last season against the Falcons when they scored that touchdown in overtime to win by 6. Most of their Super Bowls have been a field goal win. Chances are that's what this is going to be. So a lot of people have issues with how the Eagle fans celebrated. You had that video of them going crazy in the streets, throwing stuff at the Vikings bus. Look, anybody that's been to a Philly game, it's not a surprise. I tell people all the time when I have a friend or I have a coworker or I have somebody that I know in sports that says, "Oh, I'm going to a game in Philly, I'm taking my..." I wouldn't take your kids. Philly is not an environment to take the kids. Did they take it too far yesterday? Yes. You don't start throwing stuff at the other team's bus and, holding up signs that say F this and F that. I mean, come on. Let's have some act, that saying, act like you've been there? Well, Eagles fans definitely didn't do that yesterday. And all it does, it just doesn't make that fan base look good. But, this shouldn't be nothing new to anybody. Unless you're really young or just coming out of the womb, Philly fans are known for being raunchy and dirty and not being the best ones to be around when it's, not saying that they're not good people. I'm just saying when it comes to especially football, I mean, for God's sakes, look at what they did when the Phillies won the World Series 10 years ago or whatever it was. I mean, they had to put that city on lockdown. Can you imagine if they win this? Their first Super Bowl ever? Oh my God. If that happens, if it does happen, I don't think that it will. I'm obviously taking the Patriots, but if it does happen, Philly might disappear off the map because those fans aren't going to know how to act. But it's not a good look. Do I take issues with it? Yeah. Some of the stuff is too far, like attacking the Vikings bus. Come on. I mean, that's a bad look overall. Come on. And I know, I understand there's Philly fans screaming at me right now, probably. It's not the whole fan base. I get that, but still, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. So the Thunder handle the Cavs, the Rockets beat the Warriors. Should we take anything from this? The Rockets beating the Warriors? No. I mean, no. You beat a team once, okay, it's in January, so what? I want to know, can you beat them 4 times out of 7 in June? That's what I want to know. And if you think the Warriors are shredding on this loss, they're not. What I am concerned about is the Cavs. I mean, that defense it's not their offense, it's that defense looks terrible. You give up 148 to the Thunder. 148. I know guys that play NBA 2K18 and cannot give up 148. Come on. They're in a bad spot now. Granted, we've seen this story before. And now you're hearing the rumblings of, like I just said, Jason Kidd just got fired in Milwaukee a couple hours ago. And there's already rumblings of Tyronn Lue might be next. I don't know if it's going to go that far, but it's close because there's issues there. And if you're the Cavs, you got to make a move here. But here's the thing. Danny Ainge, the head guy there in Cleveland, he's not going to make a move for that number 1 overall pick. He's not going to sell or trade that pick if he doesn't believe that LeBron is going to be there next season. And I firmly believe, I said this at the end of last season, LeBron is not going to be in Cleveland after this season. And I don't think that he will. I don't think that he will. And that's why I don't expect, they're not going to trade this number 1 pick for DeAndre Jordan. They're not going to do anything like that because I think Danny Ainge firmly believes that LeBron is not going to be there. Now, LeBron isn't going to tell him that because he wants Danny Ainge to sell that pick and try to bring some help. But right now, they're in a tough position because that defense is just horrible right now. And they're 3rd in the East behind the Raptors and Celtics. And that's what I said about the acquisition of Isaiah Thomas. You're not improving nothing. Your offense isn't the issue there. It's your defense. We saw that last season. We're seeing it even more now. Isaiah Thomas did not play defense in Boston. He's not going to play it in Cleveland. Some more disturbing news out of the Larry Nassar, he's going through his sentencing stuff. You're having victims speak. Well, apparently a clinic where a Nassar victim was abused is still trying to bill her family for the appointment, and it's a Michigan State sports clinic. Michigan State needs to be held more accountable here because we know from evidence that some Michigan State University personnel knew of these incidences and knew of some things going on, and nobody brought it to anybody's attention. And that's really disturbing. It's disturbing enough knowing that their sports clinic is still trying to bill a victim's family for her visit where she was sexually assaulted by Nassar. I mean, that's like bottom of the barrel. But even more bottom of the barrel is you have people in authority positions that knew of information of him doing stuff wrong and did nothing about it. We saw how that panned out at Baylor. Michigan State people on that Olympic panel need to be held accountable, and people at that Michigan State panel need to be held accountable. Nassar worked for Michigan State University for 20 years. And you mean to tell me not one person of authority came to that school and said he's doing things he shouldn't be doing? And that, to me, is very, very troubling. Very troubling. And something needs to be done to that facility and to those people. Because that's troubling that you knew of stories and you knew of things that Larry Nassar was doing wrong. And as a person of authority over protecting use and protecting females and individuals, you did nothing about it. That's sickening. That's really disturbing. And that's another thing that doesn't help sexual assault instances and cases. Because people sit there and think, well, here you have universities of people in authority that didn't say anything, so why am I going to go tell my university alum or my university staff major of something doing wrong when the chances are they're not going to do anything? Michigan State needs to be held accountable here. They need to be on trial here as well, because it's sickening that he worked there for 20 years, and we have evidence that clearly shows that victims brought this to the university's attention, and they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then on top of it, they're still trying to bill one of the victims for her visit. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Results of the poll, the majority of you would go, a little bit of a surprise, but not much, the majority of you would pick Alex Smith to start at QB for your franchise next season over Bortles, Cousins, and Keenum. I would go Cousins mainly because I'm a big fan of Bortles. Like I said, I've always been. But I would go Cousins mainly because of Alex Smith's age. And Alex Smith, look, like him or not, he hasn't ever been, except for a couple games at Kansas City this season, he's never been a, gonna win you the game quarterback. He's never been that, and he never will. Jaguars complaining about loss and discrepancy in penalties. Look, 6 penalties for 98 yards. All of them were clear and concise, except for the one pass interference one. You can kind of question that, but when it comes down to it, New England rarely makes mistakes as it is. And we know the old saying, there's holding on every play. It's just a matter of which ones get called and the discrepancy of the refs. And we all know that the refs get both teams together before the games and they make it known, this is how we're going to call it. And the Jaguars should have gauged that, especially with how their defense is. They should have gauged that from the start. Let's see what we can get away with. Let's see how the refs are going to call it. But that's a young team. They're going to, have their crying moments the next couple of days. But that's a team that needs to realize you're still a contender. You can get back here. Don't have a high, fall off, because you have the right pieces in place. Don't bitch and cry about officiating and this didn't go your way and this didn't go that way. You got beat. You got beat by the greatest QB coach and organization in the history of time. Plain and simple. Patriots made the better adjustments. The Jaguars couldn't. And that defense, even though with all their youth and speed, and that is a very fast defense, and a very good defense, again, a team that's very capable of being back in the same spot next season, if they do the right things and stay with the right mentality. They got tired. You could see that in the fourth quarter. They were tired. And Brady and Amendola picked them apart. That does it for us tonight, folks. Hope all of you enjoyed it. We'll see you all here tomorrow night for Sports Talk Speaker Radio for iHeartRadio.com. I'm Hardy. This is the Hardy Show. Have a great night.